on behalf of the father, there was a few things that kind of came to mind for me. 3 words actually. One was fear, one was respect, and one was responsibility. And I knew him growing up as a child, but I really got to meet Chief Newberry when I worked at the Chevy garage back in the 80s. And I'll be honest with you, he was a scary man. The way he looked at you, the way he carried himself, the way he dressed, he had a presence that was a command presence. And then I got hired here in '91, and that fear, it turned into sheer panic. That man, he could look at you and you knew exactly what he was thinking. But I really quickly grew to respect him. I think that everybody here, and Chief Rasmussen knew him, Gene knew him, Trish, Tom, I mean, you guys knew him. Everybody respected him. He was a cop's cop. Oh, I'm sorry, Greg. Yeah, well, Greg knew him too. I didn't see you back there. He's so so everybody respected him. And two things that really came to mind was my very first partner at the police department. Chief Newberry probably could have fired him. And he saw his worth, and he sent him away to get better, and gave us 30 more years with that man here on this earth. And so he knew the worth of the people that worked for him. He told me more than once that without his Indians, there was no chief. In '94, I got into a really bad fight in the middle of the night, and he was the first one there at midnight. And I nicknamed him the Wind, because he'd be at a bar fight and he would just show up, and then he'd disappear. And it'd be 2 o'clock in the morning, he'd be at the police department. He'd just walk into the police department. You never knew, what? You never knew where he was going to be. And he respected his people, and his people respected him. And I guess the last word is responsibility. He always held everybody accountable. Anybody that knew him, he could look at you and you knew what he was thinking. There were some times where he'd have some very choice words for you, and then other times where he would say nothing and you still knew that you did wrong. I'm going to leave you with one story. My partners and I, we thought we were really smart. We had, when we want to meet for coffee, we'd call on the radio and we'd say, well, we'll go to Sector 1, or Sector 2, or Sector 3. And Sector 3 was Kent's Cafe, if you remember where that was. And so one night my partner calls me on the radio and he just says, 710, 711, you want to meet in Sector 3? Yep, got it. I'm on final approach. He goes, you're clear to land, full flaps, downwind. About 30 seconds later, this deep voice gets on the radio and says, the FAA is monitoring. All we did was the 3 of us sat and ate our peanut butter pie trying to figure out what we were going to say the next day at roll call. And he yelled at us. He never said a word. He came in, he greeted us the next day, shook our hands, and walked out, and he never, but we knew that we had screwed up. I'll leave you with that. Thank you, Karen. Great man. I mean, I started my career under him, Chief Rasmussen.